Hi, my name is Mark Hundley, and this is Live at 5. I appreciate you joining me either live or later. Maybe we could do a later at 5. I don't know if that would work or not, but I really appreciate you joining me live, and I appreciate you joining me later and and listening to what I have to say, sharing it. It's really cool. I want to finish this week with a question. A question is, what do you want? What do you want? A few years ago, and I'll probably visit this one again, many years ago now, a good friend of mine who's in the life insurance industry told me this statement. He said, Mark, he said, statements simply tell, questions sell. And I thought about that and I took that to heart and I began to think about ways to incorporate good questions into everything that I do. So, right off the bat, um, I began to think about a question. What do you want? And many times in therapy, many in times when I'm working with a client, when I'm working with a student, when I'm in conference with a student, I'll get to a point where I'll say, and what do you want? What is it you want? And it's amazing whether it's a student, whether it's a, um, a client, whether it's just a friend. I'll ask that question. What do you want? And almost always, there's a statement of, well, what I don't want, Mark, is. And they bring out a bunch of information of what they don't want. What I don't want is, and there's this long line of information that they share. And I'll listen patiently, and then I'll say, okay, and again, what do you want? Well, sometimes it takes two or three times to get to the what I want part because they're so focused on what they don't want. Um, the brain does a funny thing with don't. It has a tendency to X through the don't and pay attention to what comes after that. So if I say to you what I don't want, the brain doesn't pay attention to the don't, it listens to everything afterward. Isn't this interesting? It began kind of, the research began with teachers. Teachers are notorious for seeing little Johnny run down the hall and say, little Johnny, don't run, don't run. And what happened was little Johnny would haul off and run faster. And they couldn't figure out what was going on. They just told him to stop running. No, they told him, Johnny, don't run. His brain heard run. So they switched and began to tell Johnny, Johnny, walk, 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 walk. It became a positive statement of intent. This is what I want you to do, is walk rather than run. And Johnny would slow down gradually and begin walking. He might walk fast, but he's walking, correct? Sometimes when we ask ourselves, what do you want? Our brain is so focused on the don't that that's the first thing we start talking about. What I don't want is for my children to be fearful. What I don't want is my life to be purposeless. What I don't want is for people to be afraid of me. What I don't want is, and we begin to see that if the brain is really true to this, and we're starting to focus on what we don't want, that's what we're creating. It's what we would rather avoid. It's kind of like driving down the freeway with your eyes on the rearview mirror. Imagine doing that all the time, where that's the only place you looked in the rearview mirror. Wouldn't go very far, would you? You might run into some other automobiles or have some problems. So here's the question. What do you want? And let's fill in some blanks. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to experience? What do you want to give? What do you want to share? What do you want to avoid? What do you want to eliminate? What do you want to create? See the difference in that question? When I truly ask, what do you want? And I focus on that. This is what I want. I want a life that's full of peace. I want a family that enjoys one another. Then you have this opportunity to start creating this wonderful arrangement of something that you want. So, guys, as the weekend approaches, I'm going to encourage you to avoid the don't, get rid of that, and ask yourself the question, what do I want? I promise you, as you struggle with it and find the answers, you can have an amazing turnaround in your life. Have a great weekend. Peace.